Hello? Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the court of the Edijester. How you doing, people? Right? There's so much going on. I don't know where to start, but let's start with congratulations to Joe Phoenix. A tremendous win there against the Open University, who seem to be a bunch of slathering critical social justice loons. We'll come to them, right? But we're going to start today as I'm trying some new things, and I want your opinion on whether or not it works. All the links as usual are in the Dubras. Become more a teacher like shout usual. Get right? Okay, I'm quite excited. So I've been having to play around with my new bits of software. I tell you, doing this inch by inch on your own is no fun. I wish I was trigonometry. Have people to help me then, couldn't I? Unfortunately, I'm nowhere near being in that situation. So I'm just going to stick with the fact that I'm going to have a go, right? So here's me having a go, which I thought was the best way to do it. Let's talk Starmer. Watch this.
The Tories seem set on sabotaging civil society to save their own skins. They've got themselves so tangled up in culture wars of their own making that...
Right, I've stopped it, yeah. Culture war of their own making. The brass neck of this bloke. The absolute brass neck of this bloke. Right? The culture wars originated in leftist and liberal academia, and they are an absolute curse upon the bloody earth, right, Starmer? It was your lot that did this, you wibbling denial goat, right? Your lot did this, and you stand there and say that? I think it's absolutely appalling that you should do that, but it's very clever. I'll give you that. You know what he's doing, right? He's trying to pitch himself as outside of it all, and he will come in as the parental figure that will put it all right for you. That's what he's doing. He's saying, this is nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. What this is done by them, and they are going to affect you. And what he does next, which is even more extraordinary, is he starts rattling on about the Royal National Lifeboat people, the Queen, and all sorts of stuff. So have a listen to him talk about that as well. Absolutely nuts.
That instead of working with Royal National Lifeboat Institution, an organisation the late Queen was patron of for 70 years, to find real solutions to stop the small boats, their rhetoric has helped demonise them. Instead of working with the National Trust, so more people can learn about and celebrate the culture and our history.
So the government are picking on the Royal National Lifeboat Institution, the Queen's involved somehow, the National Trust, which is celebrating our heritage. It's not, Keir. The National Trust is not. It is capitulating to an extraordinarily hard left and liberal idea of the world, which co-joins with corporatism, by the way, to make the human body a product. And human history up for grabs, and the history that got us here up for grabs. They were capitulating to critical social justice nutters to ensure that all our history is framed in only one way. That is power and oppression. Not competence, right? Which actually got us here, so I could do this with all my new bits and bobs, right? Not competence, that it was about power and oppression. And they will push this so that there is a constant need on an individual, organisation, governmental level to constantly argue and to have power and oppression narrative arguments in order to make sure that we crumble what we've got, rebuild it, and then crumble it again. It's about capitular disruption. It's about constant disruption, which we must capitulate to. That's where we are, right, Starmer? You don't know what the hell you're talking about. So let's see what else he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
They've managed to demean their work in its desperation to cling on to power at all cost. The Tory party is undertaking a kind of weird McCarthyism, trying to find woke agendas in the very civic institutions they once regarded with respect. Let me tell you, waging a war on the proud spirit of service in this country isn't leadership. It's desperate, it's divisive, it's damaging. And it comes to something when the Tories are at war with the National Trust. That's what happens when politics of self-preservation prevail over commitment to service. People who are getting on with things that actually matter, saving lives, supporting those in need, serving others, get caught in the crosshairs of division and distraction.
Oh, glorious. I mean, I despair if this man gets in, and I feel for those in the GC movement who are Labour leaning, because honest to goodness, you really are faced with the most dreadful decision to make. If you're, old school, let's look at economic differences, that type of stuff. If you're old school, this ain't them. This ain't them. Right? And I don't know what you're going to do. I really don't know what you're going to do. You're going to let Labour get in? Because anybody else you vote for isn't going to, except the Tories. What are you going to do? That's the question that needs to be asked. Can you take off your partisan blinders and recognise that we need to pull the Overton window back, and that might mean voting the Tories in for another 4 years? That's the only way we're going to pull it back. Otherwise, your children are going to be indoctrinated from primary school to secondary school to university. They're going to get involved in this online. They're going to be told that they're able to choose their gender and that they aren't necessarily a boy or girl, and that every single interaction they have is racist. Is that the world you want? Because that's the world that Keir Starmer is trying to paint as the reality of the UK forever. It's not. It's only new, right? Keir Starmer saying what that actually is when you say don't decolonise the curriculum, stop making everything racist, live in the real world. What's Keir Starmer saying? We've never done that. If you're really British, you won't allow them to get away with these culture wars. It's a disgusting display. It's a disgusting display, and he should be utterly ashamed of himself. Utterly ashamed. But we have a bit of an antidote to that. Let's do some antidotes. So I want you to watch this guy from the Heritage Foundation talking at the WEF about all sorts of things, some of which will upset you. Yay! So all sorts of things, this guy at the WEF. So you've had Starmer's interpretation of what's going on. They're picking on the Royal National Lifeboat and defaming the Queen, or whatever it is they're doing, throwing the Queen in the rubbish or something. Because she'd disapprove of this. She ain't disapproving of much now, is she? Right? And then you've got this guy who comes from the Heritage Foundation, which you won't like, because they're right-leaning in America. But where's the lie? Okay? 4 or 5 points that I think you'll find difficult to swallow, but where's the lie? Have a look.
It's laughable that you would, or anyone would, describe Davos as protecting liberal democracy. It's equally,
standing up for it.
It's equally laughable to use the word dictatorship at Davos and aim that at President Trump. In fact, I think that's absurd. But I'm going to step aside from that constructive criticism and instead answer your question.
Yep.
And I'm going to be substantive here. President Trump, if he's the next president, for that matter, I think whoever the next conservative president, is going to take on the power of the elites, which I've mentioned earlier. But the thing that I want to drive home here, the very reason that I'm here at Davos, is to explain to many people in this room and who are watching, with all due respect, nothing personal, but that you're part of the problem. Political elites tell the average people on 3 or 4 or 5 issues that the reality is X, when in fact reality is Y. Take immigration. Elites tell us that open borders and even illegal immigration are okay. The average person tells us in the United States that both rob them of the American way of life. They're right. President Trump will take that on behalf of the average American. Elites also tell us that public safety isn't a problem in big American cities. Just travel to New York or Washington or Dallas, Texas. The average person will tell you that the lack of public safety damages not just the American way of life, but their life. President Trump will take that on. Thirdly, I guess the favorite at the World Economic Forum is climate change. Elites tell us that we have this existential crisis with so-called climate change, so much so that climate alarmism is probably the greatest cause for mental health crisis in the world. The solutions, the average person know, based on climate change are far worse and more harmful and cost more human lives, especially in Europe during the time that you need heating, than do the problem and the problems themselves. Fourth, 2 more here, Robin. Okay. The fourth, China. The number one adversary, not just to the United States, but to free people on planet Earth. Not only do we at Davos not say that, we give the Chinese Communist Party a platform. Count on President Trump ending that nonsense. And fifth, as we sit here, another supranational organization, the World Health Organization, is discussing foisting gender ideology upon the global South. These are practices that are under review, if not being rejected, by countries in Northern Europe. The new president, especially if it's President Trump, will, as you like to say, trust the science. He will understand the basic biological reality of manhood and womanhood. And do you know why? Not because of retribution, not because he's a dictator, but because he has the power of the American people behind him. And it's connected to Senator Portman's excellent point that in addition to needing a vigorous executive, we look forward to having the popular will inform both the House and Senate in 2025 to pass laws on all of those issues and many others. Ultimately, Robin, I think President Trump, if in fact he wins a second term, is going to be inspired by the wise words of Javier Milei, who said that he was in power not to guide sheep, but to awaken lions. That's what the average American and the average free person on planet Earth wants out of leaders.
Okay, nice to see him fact check Milei there. You know, the Argentinian guy who does wonderful things. He put all the departments he was going to get rid of on a board. Did you ever see that? All the departments on a board. And he went up to each one. Gone! 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 He's fantastic. He's going to really upset things, right? When it comes to these elite idiots. The idiots on the left and the liberals in the education systems who are indoctrinating your children. Them, right? Okay? So then we move on to Joe Phoenix. Joe! How are you, right? Joe, who had the most extraordinary experience in the OU, where they treated her with absolute disdain, and has now won her case, her employment tribunal, and I'm pleased to see so. And we'll take a look now at some of the stuff that was written by the academics when this started, because they didn't like what she was doing. This is quite extraordinary, right? Have a look. See it there? Right. What are they saying? What do they mean? What are they wibbling on about? Yep. Oh, gay men. This has got nothing to do with gay men. This is not even vaguely close to what happened to gay men. Gay men weren't LARPing cross-dressers. Gay men weren't fetishists and paraphiliacs. Gay men weren't after sterilizing, medicalizing, and then mutilating the genitals of young people. Nothing to do with gay men, you bunch of OU morons. So that's what they said in the letter. And then underneath they said, trans people have more health problems than anybody else. I wonder why. When you stuff yourself full of hormones you shouldn't be stuffing yourself full of, and have bits of yourself yanked and tucked and destroyed in order to become a simulacrum, a fake copy of something you think is a woman or you think is a man. What do you think was going to happen? Right? And then we've got Maya. Maya. Hey, Maya. How you doing, lovely? There she is, our Maya, you can see. Right? This was the judges. This is the judges saying to the academics, you fall below the standards required for academia. And they fall below the standards that are required for academia because they work in these ridiculous niche. Well, they're not niche anymore. Loads of people are doing them and they're all mad. You know, gender studies or critical fact studies or critical dogs bum pieces, whatever it is they're doing, right? Okay. And this is the kind of stuff that Helen Pluckrose, James Lindsay and Eric Bogosian uncovered when they did their performative practice in queer ideology when they went to examine dogs' penises in Portland Park to understand rape culture, right? And they sent the article, which was obviously in complete insanity, out into the world to these ridiculous social studies magazines, and they published it and wrote back saying, brilliant article. We're just worried about what happened to the dogs when you looked at their dicks. Just right. This is the kind of lunacy we're talking about. So Maya's done an extraordinary thread on this, and you have to see it to believe it, because the OU are an utter disgrace, along with just about everything else in academia at the moment. They're getting an absolute kicking they deserve, here and in America. We trusted you, and you let us down. We trusted you, and you let us down. Right? Then let's hop over to Canada and see what Canada's up to. Have a look at this. Right? That's a 50-year-old man swimming with 13-year-old girls because he thinks he's a 13-year-old woman. A 13-year-old girl, and thinks he's a woman. Right? Canada's gone completely insane, and that's not the least of it. Right, have a look at this, which his wife wrote, and tell me that there isn't something terribly wrong here. Look at particularly the last paragraph. What do you say? Sacred. The idea of the sacred people. Those people that are able to be treated as if they are a priestly class. What the hell is that about? You don't even go there with that? And just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, in my new special, involving bits and bobs and doodads, right? We've got this LARPing homophobic woman, right? Have a listen to this, because this will knock your socks off.
Just so everyone knows, this dude is super pissed off because I'm literally a gay porn star and, like, proud of being gay and have experienced life as a gay man. Meanwhile, they get zero dick. They get zero hole. Super devastating, super sad. My thoughts go out to you. I've heard Grindr is a great option. Anyways, I'm on OnlyFans. And watch me be gay with other gay men. I'm filming more tonight.
These women populate Grindr. They are populating male spaces, just like the males are populating women's spaces. Gay male spaces are populated by this kind of woman. A porn-addled, porn-soaked, homophobic, narcissistic psychopath. That's what I think that is. And you are seeing it in true colour. Well, that's enough for today in my special attempt at doobries and things and knickknacks and doodads. Other than that, everything you need is in the doobries. Buy me a coffee, please. Or a super thanks, whatever it may be. But most of all, starting in March, new Warrior Teacher Cohort. Come and join the Warriors. It's the way forward, the winning mindset. I'll see you guys later. Thank you for watching. I look forward to your feedback. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.